everybody. Welcome back to another True Crime podcast. This is Good Vibes and Bad Decisions. I am Quinn, and this is Gypsy.
Hello.
So, this week it is my whole heart's turn to bring the case to the table. And
hmm
boy, has she brought an interesting case to the table. Get a seat on the sofa, guys. Pull up whatever you need to. Get your drink, get your coffee, Red Bull, Coca-Cola, whatever it is, and sit down beside me and listen to this. I have only just watched a video clip that's going to be put in here, so I am just as fresh as everybody else. All right. Let's have a quick catch up before we jump into it. And my gal takes the lead. How are you doing this week, my darling?
I'm doing okay. My health issues have been bothering me a little bit this week. As you know, I've had a crash, but
Yeah.
other than that, I'm doing good. I kind of threw myself into this whole case, and that kept me occupied. So I'm doing good. How's the move going? Tell me about that.
Waiting for another call. The tactical expert's just been out, so you know what it's like. We're waiting on the survey being done, and
hmm
then hopefully we can go and get the rest of the place sorted. So one thing after another, but I feel like I'm doing well. My ADHD is allowing me to procrastinate here, which I
I love
think
it.
is a good thing. Yeah, I think that's a really good thing. But I have been excited all week to hear about this case, and I know a few of the girls have because they've been asking.
Yeah.
So, can you just tell us why you chose this case first before we go into it?
So I chose this case. As you know, I've studied psychology, and I also began to study criminology. I studied it privately anyway. So this case stood out to me because of the sheer audacity of this person. Like, he firmly believed that he was the smartest person in every room. He firmly believed that he could outwit everybody, and that's what got me about it. So we're talking about Rodney Alcala, or Alcala, depending on, where you're from, what your accent is.
Yeah, they said
Rod-
Alcala on the clip that you showed that
yeah,
you just sent me. So, I mean,
yeah,
that sounds a bit dumb. I just watched a little clip that Gypsy sent me, and she'll insert it in the right bit in this video. But guys, you have to see this. You have got to see this. I've seen nothing like it. And I suppose because we know what he is, it's freaky now. But I
yeah,
mean, back then it was just completely normal. And I suppose a
yeah,
lot of things about this case actually that are unthinkable now were totally normal back then, right? Like
yeah.
completely normal.
I think it puts a spotlight on the things that were wrong with society then, honestly. And I think that this is one of the cases that led to and I'm a firm believer that, things that happen in the past will adjust how people view things in the future. And I think this is one of the cases that did that. And I'm
Yeah,
not
what
saying
sits
it's
in
the
the
only one
dark
that's
will come to light,
responsible.
sort of thing.
Yeah. I'm not saying this is the only case that's responsible. I'm sure there were hundreds of cases
Hmm.
across the years that have kind of changed societal thinking, changed societal views, and so I mean, it will become clear as we go on, but
It did
we'll get
have
into
you
it.
on the end of your seat though, didn't it? Like the
Yeah, it really
research in
did.
this one really did sort of, you were like, this is mad, this is crazy. You have to see this, you have
Yeah,
to. And I think that, when we all, I think the good thing about what you bring to the table, and I think that we both have said this before, I go for a case that has a lot of sort of information and a lot of sort of viral, right? I've brought a few
hmm
viral cases to the table. This will be the second case that you've brought to us that's actually what, over 30 years old?
yeah. It actually happened. It was in the same time period as Trudy, as
And guys, we all know with the Trudy Adams case, and Gypsy and I, we have shorts on the channel now. So if you've not seen them, click the playlist, go down to the shorts, and you'll see us. We will post information updates on all cases that we cover when there are any in the shorts on that page. So if you are
Mhm.
following any of these crime cases and there is any updates, keep watching the shorts. So listen, me, everybody else, we're all comfortable now. We're all sitting cozy and we've all got a drink. How's about you take it away and bring us into your rabbit hole, Miss Gypsy?
Okay. Okay,
Let's go.
so today I want to talk about Rodney James Alcala. Um, he was known after he was caught, and he was caught and convicted, but not of everything he did, which is I find is so often the case, and it really really annoys me because I
Yeah.
feel like every victim has the right to face their person in court, or they have the right to justice. They have the right for their case to be heard in court.
Yeah, it
But
goes to the Mackenzie Shirilla. She got
yeah,
15 years for Dominic and 15 years for Davion, but it was only one 15-year sentence because she was served, they did it
yeah,
concurrently. So one victim loses out on the justice or the family sort of thing.
yeah.
I can understand what you mean there, and I hope everybody else does too, because that is actually
But there
wild.
are also cases out there where there are serial killers that only get charged with one, or like maybe 1 to 5 of the cases that they've actually committed, because there is enough evidence in those cases for those cases to be committed, and the other families, doesn't matter how many, if they can get a life tariff off of the 1 to 5 cases, they will do that, and then
Yeah.
the other people's cases are never heard.
That's like Michael Peterson. He took the plea
Yeah,
deal for the Alfred. He took an Alfred deal, which is
yeah,
means that there is enough evidence to find him guilty, and he is recognising there is enough evidence to prosecute him, but he is not admitting guilt. And he did, I'm sure it was like 10 years or something,
yeah.
and that was sort of like the plea deal then. Tell us more.
So, Rodney Alcala became one of America's most notorious serial killers after investigators connected him to multiple murders spanning several states in America. His crimes gained extraordinary public attention because he appeared as a contestant on the television program The Dating Game in 1978 while he was actively committing the murders. Authorities ultimately secured convictions in California and New York, while investigators continued exploring possible links to additional crimes. So let's have a bit of background on Rodney Alcala, first of all.
Yeah.
So, Rodney James Alcala, public reporting shows that Alcala served in the military for some time. He joined the United States Army in 1961 at the age of 17, intending to train as a paratrooper, but he spent his service primarily as a clerk. Throughout the
Oh.
Yeah, he wanted to be a big bad paratrooper,
I'm
jumping out
just
of
thinking
planes.
on the clip that I watched, it said he was a parachuter or a parasailer, and I was like, what a liar, but
A
clearly no.
skydiver. Yeah, it
Ah,
says
yeah.
skydiver. So, but he spent his service in the army primarily as a clerk. So they were like, "You're not jumping out of planes. You can have a typewriter." Um, throughout his time in the army, he struggled with behavioral issues and disciplinary infractions, um, which kind of made me go, "But what were these?" You know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I wonder what they are.
Right.
And I
So,
wonder why they've made them sit like Angela fucking Lansbury with a typewriter.
right, exactly. So his commanding officers noted that Alcala was insubordinate, manipulative, and vindictive. He faced multiple disciplinary actions for assaulting young women on or near military bases. These have never been included in his charges, by the way. So at
Wow.
the age of 17, he's already committing crimes against women.
And will that be wiped when he's 18, or does your crimes get
No,
wiped when you're 16?
it's military. It's
Oh, so
military
it's
record.
there all the time.
Yeah, but he was never charged with this.
Stop.
So this culminated in 1964 with a medical discharge after a military psychiatrist diagnosed him with antisocial personality disorder. But they also tested his IQ, and his IQ tested at 135. So just to explain how IQ tests work,
Yeah,
the
please.
the average intelligence is ranked at 100. Anything below 100 is not anything below 100 is less than normal intelligence. Anything above 100 is super intelligent. Okay, so 135 is a very very intelligent score. Um, Albert Einstein tested, I think it was 127, 128.
Wow. So literally, he scored higher than Einstein on
Yeah,
this.
Yeah.
I reckon I'd probably hit a baseline of about 12, 14 on a good day.
So Rodney went on to pursue higher education and studied photography and art. He earned a Bachelor of Fine Arts from UCLA in 1968. While he was at UCLA, though, Alcala imprisoned a young girl. Morgan Rowan was 16 years old when Alcala brutally beat, sexually assaulted, and attempted to murder her at his Hollywood home. She only survived because her friends managed to break into the room and help her escape. So
Wow.
I just want to, I'm like there, I was reading from my notes, but I just want to touch on the fact that I saw an interview with Morgan Rowan, and she talked about knowing that she was done for as soon as she walked into that room with him, because as soon as she walked into that room with him, there were brackets on the door, and he turned around and put an iron bar across the door.
Oh my goodness. And if
He
it
locked
was
the door
was
and
not
put an
for her
iron bar across
friends,
it.
she'd have
Yeah.
been fucking cooked.
Her friends
Wow.
were banging on the door while she was being beaten and
So he
trying to get
has no
in.
shame. Like
None.
he was like, I'm doing all the preparation, but none of the
Yeah.
planning.
Yeah.
And still he is. And guys, remember that he's a serial killer, right? So if the story ended there, this is not, you know, she wouldn't be bringing it to the table. So
No.
clearly there was more after this. So
Yeah.
like, cuddle up and get beside me, and let's listen to this.
So her friends actually went outside of the house, ran round to the window of the room that she was in, and broke the window to get her out. Um, and to be honest, if they hadn't done, she was done for. Um,
That's actually fucking disgusting.
so responding police failed to file a formal report and dismiss the incident, allowing Alcala to remain free and continue his spree.
What? So
Rowan,
police did fucking nothing?
nothing. They dismissed it.
Oh, guys, stop shouting. There's more. And just to let everybody know, they'd probably be able to grab the book on Amazon or Kindle, right? They'll be
Yeah,
able to go
yeah,
and
they
grab
can.
that.
They can.
Everybody go and support her, please. Go and read that book.
Absolutely. In 1968, Rodney Alcala graduated at UCLA, but he then went on to kidnap, beat, and assault a girl of 8 years old in Los Angeles. So I'm going to talk to you about her now.
Oh, fuck's sake.
So Tally Shapiro was kidnapped on her way to school by Alcala. Her parents were very social people. They actually worked in media. So Tally didn't question it when he told her he knew her parents, because her parents knew a lot of people. They had a lot of parties, you know, things like that. And he offered her a ride. Alcala took her to her apartment at a short distance away. However, what he didn't know was that he had been spotted. A young father and family man had spotted Tally getting into Alcala's car, and all of his internal alarms went off. He followed the vehicle to the apartment and watched Alcala take Tally into the apartment. As mobile phones were not a thing yet, this man went to find a phone box, called the police, expressing his concerns for the child's welfare.
Fucking
He
angel.
waited. He waited and then directed the police to the exact apartment where Alcala had taken the innocent young Tally. Police broke into the property and found a scene I'm sure they'll never forget. Alcala had beaten little Tally brutally, assaulted her, and police found her broken body in a pool of blood. Alcala fled this scene, and while fleeing from law enforcement, used an alias, John Berger, to study film at New York University under the director Roman Polanski. During this time, he also worked as a camp counselor in New Hampshire at the Arts and Drama Camp New Beginnings in George Mills on Lake Sunapee. The summers of 1968, 1970, and 1971, using the alias John Berger, escaping law enforcement, and his current status on the FBI's most wanted list for his assault on Tally Shapiro. He was captured in 1971 after two girls at the camp recognized his face on an FBI wanted poster at the local post office and alerted the camp director. So a legal plea deal allowed Alcala to serve only 34 months in prison before his release. Because her parents initially shielded Tally from testifying, she was so young, she was only 8 years old.
Yeah.
Shapiro's assault did not keep Alcala behind bars. Morgan Rowan, in an interview, later talked about how she blamed herself for what happened to Tally Shapiro and his other victims, because she couldn't get the police to take her seriously that night and never pushed back. But what we need to remember is not only is Morgan 16 at this point, which is a very, very young and impressionable age, attitudes to women surviving sexual assault were very different at the time too. Morgan would have felt ashamed of what happened to her and shied away from pursuing a conviction. It's very, very hard to get a conviction. So photography became a recurring element in his ability to approach and gain the trust of his potential victims. Multiple people went on record to attest that Alcala appeared intelligent, articulate, and charming to strangers. His outward presentation contrasted starkly with the violent crimes that were later linked to him. Following the attack on Tally Shapiro in 1968, he avoided the severity of punishment many later believed it was warranted. The gap between early criminal behavior and later convictions remains a significant point of discussion among criminologists and investigators to this day. So there was a massive gap. However, information that I will touch on later will, I think, lead listeners to understand what he was actually doing during this period.
Yeah, I think we all want to know. We're all sat here and we're all like, when they take a gap, there's a reason. So they're either in prison or they just get married and they're trying their, but their sordid, seedy little ways always come back. Right, let's sit tight, guys, and see what he was doing.
So accounts from investigators and survivors indicate that Alcala frequently approached women and girls in public places, presented himself as a photographer, offered photography or modeling opportunities, used conversation and apparent friendliness to establish trust, and then isolated his victims before assaulting them. So photography functioned not merely as a hobby, but as a mechanism for access and control. Let's face it, every little girl is told she's going to be a superstar. We all want to be famous.
Yeah, and every little girl wants to be a model, every teenager wants to go and do it. And some of them, back then anyway, would leave home very young and they would go and search for stardom and they would go and they'd want portfolios and they'd need all of these. So getting young women to be able to feel comfortable with him was easy, clearly, because of the victims they had in the past. And then, fulfilling his seedy little fucking diary with all these pictures was easy because these women were desperate for, notoriety.
Yeah. So let's examine the timeline of his crimes that he's actually been convicted of. That these crimes are the ones that have actually been allocated to him. Okay?
Right, okay. Are you listening, guys? We're gonna go through the entire timeline, so get your notebooks and your pens because we are all on the sofa today and we're all working together on this one. Right, Jeps, come on.
So 1968, we've got the attack on Morgan Rowan, who's the 16-year-old.
Yep.
Police dismissed the case and no formal report is filed. We've got the attack on the child survivor Tally Shapiro. Police intervention prevented her death.
Yep.
Then we have a series of California murders between 1977 and 1979, which are later attributed to Alcala through evidence and DNA analysis, but we'll touch on that later.
Right, okay.
In 1978, we've got the appearance on The Dating Game, which got him the moniker The Dating Game Killer. And then in 1979, we've got the murder of Robin Samsoe and his subsequent arrest. Robin Samsoe was 12 years old when she was abducted and murdered in 1979. On June 20th, 1979, Alcala approached Robin Samsoe and her friend on Huntington Beach, offering to photograph them. He later abducted Robin Samsoe, so he must have followed her home, as she rode her bicycle to a ballet class. Her remains were discovered 12 days later in the Angeles National Forest. The friend that was with Samsoe, who had spoken to the photographer, was able to give the police a description that helped form a composite sketch. This sketch and subsequent evidence linked Alcala to the crime leading to his arrest in 1979. He was also identified by the friend and detective after a tape of his 1978 appearance on The Dating Game was reviewed. Robin Samsoe's murder became one of the most significant crimes attributed to Alcala, formed the foundation of decades of legal proceedings. So I just want to take a moment to talk about The Dating Game. Okay?
Yeah, I was really hoping that you would.
So The Dating Game was a TV show very similar to the UK version Blind Date with the iconic Cilla Black. So it was the Americanized version of that show, and we all remember Blind Date. I'm sure
Yeah.
even you remember Blind Date.
Yeah, I
Even
do.
though
I
you were
remember
born
Blind
decades
Date.
after me.
Yes, my mother always had Blind Date on the TV and always had all these things. So no, I do have a reference to pull from then. And my little
Yeah.
young ones that are out there, when we all us as bathing in the fountain of youth, as we say, we will know what that is. And if you guys don't know, please look up Blind Date and you're welcome.
Yeah, it's incredibly funny.
Mm-hmm.
So Rodney Alcala appeared on the show where a young lady called Cheryl Bradshaw was looking for her ideal man. I have managed to get some footage of the show, so I'll put that into the video right now.
Very much. Thank you. Thank you. And welcome to The Dating Game. And we'll get right underway. It's time to meet our first three eligible bachelors for game number one. And here they are. Good luck, gentlemen. Well, let's see. Bachelor number one is a successful photographer who got his start when his father found him in the dark room at the age of 13, fully developed. Between takes, he might find him skydiving or motorcycling. Please welcome Rodney Alcala. Rod, welcome. And those are our three bachelors for the game, and we'll be right back to meet our young lady after this. Don't go away. And it's time to meet our young lady for game number one, and here she is. Here is a young lady with a wealth of experience. She once earned a living massaging feet, but she quit when her boss suggested that she work her way up. Then she taught school in Phoenix, Arizona, and now she's here to educate our three bachelors in the art of amour. Welcome, if you will, sensational Cheryl Bradshaw. Hello, Cheryl. Don't sit down yet. Just a minute. Want to make sure everything is straight. You relaxed? You feel okay? All right. You know there are three bachelors over there. There'll be 1, 2, and 3. Ask them anything you like to find out more about them, except their name, age, occupation, or income, okay? And we're going to start by having them say hello to you and see how they sound. Number one, would you say hello to Cheryl, please?
We're going to have a great time together, Cheryl.
Okay. Number two.
Hi, Cheryl. It's nice to almost meet you.
And number three.
Cheryl. Hello.
Oh, you got a lot to work with there, I'll tell you. Are you ready? Questions all set?
Oh, I'm all ready.
All right, please have a seat then, Cheryl, if you would. Make yourself comfortable. When you're situated, you may begin. Good luck, gentlemen, and here we go.
Bachelor number one,
Yes.
what's your best time?
The best time is at night. Nighttime.
Why do you say that?
Because that's the only time there is.
The only time? What's wrong with morning, afternoon?
Well, they're okay, but nighttime's when it really gets good. Then you're really ready.
How about you, bachelor number two?
Right now.
Right now, anytime. Right here in front of everybody, huh?
Now's the best time.
Anytime, huh? Okay, bachelor number two. There's one thing I've been wondering about all my life.
Just one, huh?
Just one. What's the difference between a soldier and a sailor?
Well, soldier never gets his feet wet.
He never gets his feet wet.
I thought that was very good.
Hey, I kind of like it.
Written shot.
It takes a little time, you know.
Yeah, right.
Okay, bachelor number 3, sing me to sleep. And remember, I'm not your average baby.
Chantilly lace and a pretty face and a ponytail hanging down. A wiggle and a walk and a giggle and a talk. Love makes the world go round.
Beautiful bachelor number 3, just beautiful. Great voice. I'm a drama teacher, and I'm going to audition each of you for my private class. Bachelor number 1. You're a dirty old man. Take it.
Come on, over here.
Oh, Rennie, we ought to go out and boogie.
Really?
Bachelor number 2. You're an innocent virgin maiden writing in her diary.
An innocent virgin maiden.
Yes.
Writing in your diary, dear diary.
Dear diary, I'm longing not to be an innocent virgin maiden any longer. When?
Yes. Bachelor number 3. You're yourself having a complete nervous breakdown after our first date.
Cheryl. Why? Please come back and kiss me goodnight.
Bachelor number 3, I'm going to make you a star someday. Bachelor number 1, I am serving you for dinner.
Oh.
What are you called, and what do you look like?
I'm called the banana, and I look really good.
Can you be a little more descriptive?
Peel me.
Later, Bachelor 1, later. How about you, Bachelor number 2? If I was serving you for dinner, what would you be like?
I'd be like a tall glass of wine in a short glass.
All right, while you figure that one out, sit down now, Cheryl, and make up your mind. So relax and think about it. And while Cheryl decides which one of the 3 bachelors she thinks is the best for her, which one gets the date, we'll take a little time out for these good words. Don't go away. Welcome back to the dating game, and Cheryl, we have reached the moment of truth, as we call it. You've heard from the bachelors, you got some great dramatic presentations, some good answers, but now I'm going to ask you a question. Will that date be bachelor number 1, bachelor number 2, or bachelor number 3? Who gets the dates?
Well, I like bananas, so I'll take 1.
Number 1, bachelor number 1, all right. Well, I won't even ask any more questions about that. I'll just tell you something about the other bachelors. You didn't choose number 2, who did a fine acting job as a virgin maiden. He is an actor, a skin diver from New York City. Say hi to Jed Mills. Jed, come on in this show. Aw, shucks. You didn't choose number 3 either, and he is into music and soccer. You can get over here, Jed, so the other guy can get in. Attaboy. And here he is, Armand Chiami. All right, Armand. Oh, wow. Well, gentlemen, you missed out on the date. We're sorry about that. We do have some gifts for you, though, and you played a great game. Really super. Thanks so much. Okay, come back and see us again. Thank you. There they go. However, you did leave one remaining, and this is your date, and I want to tell you something about him. Cheryl, he's a skydiver, so he's got a lot of nerve. He's into motorcycling. He's also a fine photographer. Say hello to Rodney Alcala. Rodney, come on and say hello. Congratulations, Rod. You did it with a 1 answer. Well, as far as I can see, Cheryl and Rodney, it looks like the two of you may be involved in some sort of racket. So we're going to have you take to the court. Oh, first you'll receive tennis lessons.
So, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that film.
Or were you as creeped out as I was when she made me watch it? We
um,
have sort of like we've looked at our analytics, haven't we? And we do have
yeah,
like a generation gap between audiences. I think that you're either, 20s or, like sort of late 30s, early 40s. But I think that for the younger ones, sort of a bit younger than me, my age and younger, we have no understanding, right? We can watch that and be like, they're all, creeps.
yeah,
Um, danger, danger. But I think that it is really important, Gypsy, to let them know, like you did me, how different it was back then and how that
yeah,
was
it
just
was.
so the
It
thing.
really was. And listen, I'm not gonna lie. If I hadn't already seen pictures of Rodney Alcala, I wouldn't have picked him out as the serial killer in that show.
So that's right. So as exactly this, right? I feel like number three. I
Hmm.
thought when you sent it to me, guys, like if you've just watched it. Now, the first few minutes, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, I know who it is because she never showed me, you see, guys, she never showed me nothing. So I was just like you when I seen the clip, and I was like, it's number three, it's number three, it's number three. And then when they started talking about nighttime and peel the banana, I was like, that's him.
Hmm.
That's him, yes.
But that speaks on me, like the male attitude towards women at the time. Like, I think number two was pretty harmless.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
I do
he
as
wasn't as
well.
funny as he thought he was, but he was pretty harmless.
I feel
And
like it gave me like Michael Barrymore vibes, like
yeah,
Uncle. Yeah, everybody has an uncle like a bit like Michael Barrymore that makes you cringe.
yeah,
And that's kind of the feeling I got from it. I was like,
yeah,
oh, it's car crash TV.
yeah,
But I honestly, Gypsy, and I'm sure a lot of the guys sitting here watching would not have picked him out either. I do think that there's a bunch of us that'll be sitting there going, wow, I never knew it was
yeah,
him.
yeah. So after the show where Cheryl chooses Alcala as her date, Cheryl noticed that Alcala was giving off a weird vibe. She found him to be creepy and ultimately refused to go on the date with him. Now, you think in that era, TV was king, right? So how creeped out must she have been to refuse a date with someone that she got on TV? Like you would justify it in 60 different ways. I'll just go on a date. I don't, I've
Yeah,
signed
but
up for
she
this.
chose him as well.
Yeah,
So I do think like he was charming enough for her to make the selection, but
yeah,
then one on one, clearly her gut was telling her like run away,
yeah.
don't do this. And luckily she never did she.
No, her women's intuitions kicked in, and she literally escaped the clutches of a serial killer on TV. Producers of the show found Alcala to be charming and intelligent, but one specific one felt differently and raised concerns that Alcala was not all he presented himself to be.
Can you
So,
believe that he actually, in the middle of like his serial killing spree, decided
mhm,
to have the gumption, the audacity to go on a TV dating show and be like, let's get me a girl. Like, are you
yeah.
okay, sir? Like, what part of your brain fell out your fucking ear?
Well, I mean, when he appeared on the show, we know of 5 women and girls that he'd already murdered at that point, and he was on the FBI's 10 most wanted list.
Like, are you actually shitting me?
No, I'm
Who
serious.
has the gumption, right, to do anything like that? Like, you actually cannot, like, paint a redneck on anyone these days.
So, following the show, Alcala assumed his new identity as John Berger, which I've mentioned earlier, and fled to New York, right?
Yep.
So, the California convictions included, okay, these are the 5 that were known before he was on the show. These are the 5 known murders before he was on the show, okay? So, we've got
Yep.
Jill Barkham. Jill Barkham was 18 years old. She left home in Oneida, New York. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, but we moved. and moved to California. She met her tragic death in 1979. He disposed of her body on a dirt path near Mulholland Drive. We also have Georgia Wickstead, was a registered nurse who died at the age of 27. Her bruised and battered body was found on the floor of her Malibu studio apartment near her bed on December the 16th, 1977. She was found naked and had been tortured, bludgeoned, and sexually assaulted and strangled. A hammer was found next to her body. Then we have Charlotte Lamb. Charlotte Lamb was a 32-year-old legal secretary from Santa Monica whose murdered body was found in her El Segundo apartment laundry room. In the States, they have apartment buildings, and there's generally a laundry area, for like a communal laundry area.
Jibs,
Yeah.
I don't know what everybody else thinks, right, sitting on the sofa, but do you not get Sharon Tate vibes from this? Like Manson, like Hollywood, Malibu, all these like big high profile
Mhm.
places. He's in all these high profile, like under Roman Polanski. He's,
Yeah.
he's murdering these women with hammers and all of these things. Like for me, I'm sitting here and for me, I'm getting, Manson and Sharon Tate vibes from this whole
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. I mean, fortunately, he did work on his own. So, but so she was discovered. Her body was discovered in 1978. He wasn't convicted of her murder until 2010, when a pair of her rose-shaped earrings were found amongst the trophies that he kept in a silk purse in his lockup. And it was DNA testing that identified them as Lambs. We've also got Jill Parento, who was a 21-year-old Burbank resident who was murdered in June of 1979, where he beat and strangled her and posed her body. Alcala was convicted of her murder in 2010 also, where her sister Dee Dee testified and publicly condemned Alcala's actions. And then finally, of the California convictions, we have Robin Sanso. Alcala was ultimately convicted of Robin Sanso's murder following some earrings belonging to her being found in his silk trophy pouch and being confirmed by DNA testing. Now, Alcala was convicted and sentenced to death on 3 separate occasions. For all of these cases, after having the conviction overturned under appeal, he was convicted all 3 times and sentenced to death all 3 times. He was found guilty. So he got the appeal twice. He was convicted once and he appealed twice, and he was found guilty again on 2 separate occasions. Alcala insisted on appearing as his own counsel in all of his cases and did not employ a lawyer in his trials at all. So we'll talk about that in a moment, but I want to take a look at the approximately 130 missing persons cases that Alcala is suspected of being involved with. So the timeline of his activities and movements and his whereabouts do tie in with over 130 missing women from that time period leading up to his arrest and subsequent conviction in 1979. Now, there's a 10-year gap between the attack on Morgan Rowan and Tali Shapiro and the next attack. So there's a 10-year gap in between that. And in that 10-year gap, he can be tied to approximately 130 missing women in that time period.
I'm thinking here, I'm thinking, where you said that, he did what he did and then he posed the bodies.
Yeah.
Do you think he photographed them after they were gone, or do you think?
Potentially. There's no
Yeah.
evidence of that, but
No, I know,
potentially.
but like we can speculate,
Yeah, we
obviously,
can
or on
speculate.
certain things.
Yeah, we
I
absolutely
mean,
can. I
this
think it
guy,
was a progression of his MO, because
yeah.
they do evolve.
Yeah, they do evolve. They start off 9 times out of 10, they start with animals or they set fires
Yeah.
and they move and yeah. No, yeah, definitely. And the fact that in 2010, they found her earrings in his pouch. Was he still alive then in
Yes,
2010? Was
yes,
this
it was.
so the
Yes, it was.
trial and the three death sentences were in the 2000s?
The final time that he was convicted was in 2010. Yeah. Um,
Wow.
so I'm going to talk a bit more about the evidence that was found against him.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
police discovered his storage unit, and in this unit were hundreds, if not thousands, of photographs depicting young and vulnerable women in various stages of undress. A large number of these photos were published by the police in an effort to identify the women in the pictures. This led to some of the women being identified, but it doesn't scratch the surface of the number of women and young girls found in these photos. I did manage to find some of them, and I will put them on the screen now.
Mhm.
However, some did need to be cropped because of the nature of the poses.
And obviously, this video will come with a trigger warning
Yeah.
because, you know, we've managed to find, well, not we, sorry, Gypsy, that was a whole type 2 diabetes me there. Somebody needs to give me some insulting for that. Gypsy did find these pictures and cropped them out of respect. These pictures are on the internet. You know, the clip of the dating show, all of these things is public information. There is nothing that Gypsy has found or taken that is not meant to be in this video, so that's a quick disclaimer. But these images are going to appear on your screen now. This makes this case even more real. I know that it can feel sometimes almost like a story when you listen to a podcast, but what we're trying to do is show you that, yes, she's bringing a story to us, but she's actually trying to speak for the victims, and this is
Yeah.
why she wants you to see their faces. So
And
let's have a bit of respect.
unfortunately, there are more victims. We have Cornelia Crilly, who was aged 23, who was found sexually assaulted and strangled in her Upper East Side apartment in 1971. That's one of the attacks that he was convicted in New York for. We have Ellen Jane Hoover, who also was aged 23, was discovered in Westchester County in a similar state of attack in 1977. So despite 4 decades of investigations, it was ultimately the ever-evolving forensic science techniques that solved the case for some of these women, not all of them.
And again, it goes back to Trudy Adams, right? Police work was
Yeah.
shocking,
Yeah.
absolutely shocking. And I mean, you guys are probably sat here like me and wondering how somebody can evolve that much and take that many lives. But you know, Gypsy will get round to letting us know, and I'm sure you already
Yeah.
know that we're never going to have a final number on the amount of
No, it's never going to
women.
happen.
No.
Because even if they can place him as suspect number 1, he can't be convicted now of those. So it will never actually be
Solved
ultimately
properly.
solved. No. So
Resolutions are not going to be had in this case.
no, and it's really sad.
Yeah.
These convictions reflected how improvements in forensic science helped solve homicide cases decades after the crimes occurred. So Wyoming prosecutors also charged Alcala with the murder of Christine Ruth Thornton, who was reported to have been pregnant at the time that she disappeared.
Oh God.
So let's talk about how Alcala was caught and convicted despite his confidence that he was untouchable.
Yes, please. This, I'm sure, is a bit everybody's waiting for.
So we've got the witness intervention. Donald Haynes was the young man that observed behaviour involving Sally Shapiro that concerned him enough to contact the police. His actions likely prevented a homicide, and provided crucial investigative momentum. If he hadn't made that phone call right then, like
Not
it's
all heroes wear capes, Gypsy, right?
right.
Like that is mad. And to have, and we were just talking about this earlier, and I'm jumping off the train for like 30 seconds here.
Mm-hmm.
We already spoke when I was talking about Taylor Parker,
Yep.
and I was talking about Mackenzie Shirilla, and we've said so many times, and I'll tell you again, right? If you see something, say something. It doesn't matter. I would rather be sorry and deliver an apology than be right. Nobody wants to be right when they see something involving a child. Okay,
Mhm.
the best case scenario is you report it and you're wrong. So many people, and statistics show it is statistically proven that we are more likely to report harm to an animal than harm to a child.
Mhm.
And this is where people need to think. All mothers and fathers, guardians out there, I'm sure that you would agree 100%. I would rather be wrong and deliver a heartfelt apology than be right and be sorry for the rest of my life.
I mean, me personally, I say that Donald Haynes was the hero of this entire story because he phoned police and because police were able to stop him in the act. Yes, he fled the scene, but because he fled the scene, he left identifying information behind, which
Yeah.
enabled the authorities to know who he was.
It's just a shame that they couldn't catch him. It's
Yeah,
just a shame that he was able to go away and change his name and start, doing all these
yeah.
other things. This is
And it's
where,
far easier then than it is now.
yeah, 100%. And I just think this is where police work is more than questionable. They
Yeah,
have a lot of blood on their hands.
they do. They do, particularly those officers that refused to file a formal complaint after Morgan Rowan.
That's wild. That's actually wild to me. I have no idea how that is even allowed. I have no idea how that's even a thing. There's a car alarm going off, by the way, just next to my driveway, if anybody's
I
wondering
can't
what
hear it
all
at
that
all.
be. But, well, I'm glad. I'm glad because it just about drove me insane there. But finish off what you were saying,
So
Jets.
it started to get a bit more sloppy. He left a witness behind after one who was able to identify him. So that was sloppy, leaving a witness. However, I do believe that it wasn't so much him being sloppy, it was more like he felt invincible and that no one would dare to identify him, especially weak women and girls. That feel like he thought he was the most clever, the smartest, the most imposing figure, and no one would dare to put him away.
Yeah, of
But
course, that's the but these
yeah,
narcissistic psychopaths always do the same thing. They are always
yeah.
doing the same thing.
So Um, I've seen some videos of Alcala appearing in court, and he still has that arrogant disposition. That's just my opinion, obviously. But he
Yeah, but come on, you're
the
very rarely
arrogance,
wrong about this shit, bitch.
the arrogance, and just the fact that he believed that he could represent himself better than any lawyer could. And it's like, wow, how much confidence did you have in your own ability? So we'll talk about the photograph archive. Investigators discovered hundreds of photographs in a storage locker rented by Alcala. Police later released many of these images publicly, hoping to identify the individuals depicted in them. The photographs created a significant public concern because investigators could not immediately determine whether all subjects were simply photographed acquaintances or potential victims.
Wow.
And it's still not known to this day.
And that goes to show, and this is why I was saying, guys, that some of the information that Gypsy's brought here to us today, it is all public knowledge. It's all information in the public domain,
Mhm.
that
I've had
anybody
to
can
dig a little to
access.
find some of it, but like it's out there. I
Yeah.
did have to dig a little to find some of the information, but it wasn't like
But I
you
do
know,
think that you've had more respect than the police did when the images were released because you've cropped out certain bits that was left in. And we all know that, they may just be shoulder blades or it may just be a naked neck and things like that. But these are very intimate parts of a woman's body and
yeah. And
Gypsy will
let's
very
face
much
it,
make sure that they're not there.
if these women are victims, then it's literally pictures of them at their final moment.
And it's violating them all over again, isn't it?
Yeah,
Having such exposure on film.
yeah,
And I think this is where, again, the police have failed the victims because not only did they fail when they could have stopped it so much earlier, but they then violate them again by putting them out
Mhm.
into the world. And you know what, guys? Everybody knows, even if you delete something, when it's on the internet, it's on the internet.
It's forever. So I want to touch on the court proceedings because Alcala experienced an unusual legal history involving multiple convictions, appeals, and retrials. So his first conviction was later overturned. The first conviction, he was convicted of the crimes, he was sentenced to death. So that was later overturned, and they went to court again. He was on trial for a second time. He was found guilty, and he was sentenced to death. And then that got overturned again under appeal. And they
And
went to
just
trial
for
for a third
everybody
time.
listening, Gypsy, overturned means that they have taken the decision made by the first court, jury, or judge and squashed it and then set it
Yeah,
for a retrial all over again. Am
yeah,
I right?
yeah, that's right. So they went to trial with Rodney Alcala for a third time, which resulted in multiple murder convictions and a death sentence. Now, I firmly believe if he had not continually appealed his case, we wouldn't know about half of these victims, because the police wouldn't have carried on digging, would they, after he's been convicted?
Well, no, they wouldn't, because they would have just stopped and thought, job done, like, let's go.
Right?
Yeah, well done, lads. Next case, let's go. Because that's the mentality that they have. That is exactly what they're like, and that's the mentality they have. Same
Hmm.
with Trudy Adams. You know, how many times would they have had an opportunity when it came to Trudy Adams to do something about it, and they haven't? And again, it comes down to the public. And,
Yeah,
you know, a lot of the time, the public, it doesn't matter how many petitions you make, how many signatures you get, you know, it all again has to go through a parliament that backs police.
yeah,
So a lot of the time, you're pissing against the fucking wind.
yeah. So I wanted to do a bit of a psychological profile,
Yeah,
because
let's go.
I do believe in profiling. I do believe it really, really works, because there are characteristic traits to people who do this stuff. Okay,
Hmm.
so um, I these are the things that I noted.
Right, okay.
So while I was looking into this, so the
Yeah.
superficial charm. Many people who encountered Alcala initially described him as personable and approachable. He was charming. He was debonair. He was,
We say that all the time about so many psychopaths or narcissists. They
hmm
are the nicest people you will ever meet. They make you feel dumb in a loving way. That is
yeah,
such a tact to be able to
yeah,
have, isn't it? It's such a tool to be able
yeah,
to use on people, Gypsy, that it does actually make, and it makes good people feel silly or below or bad about themselves, and it makes you, when they give you that little bit of attention, it gives you the dopamine rush, so you chase
yeah.
it. You overlook the bad things because, again, if they're good again, you get the dopamine rush, right?
Exactly. Which is literally the premise of every relationship that has features of domestic violence, or features where it's been spousal abuse, or spousal homicide. In a lot of cases, they've stayed because they've fed them enough honey to make them deal with the sting. You
Yeah,
know?
that's it. And a lot of the times, what they actually tend to do is isolate you.
Yeah,
And, you know, Alcala's displaying that, right?
yeah,
Regardless of how many people were in that house, when he was it Morgan, her name was, they were kicking the
yeah,
door in to save her. Regardless of how many people were in that house, one, he charmed her, two, he talked her back, three, he was able to isolate her within 200 feet of however many other people and get
yeah.
her into a room and lock the door. That is absolute, like, that is talent, that is skill, that is all of these things that
And
these
that's also
hot.
the thing that I've touched on next, is the manipulation. He used his photography and
Hmm.
conversation around the photography I think you're so beautiful. I would really like to take your picture. Who's not going to be
You're going to be
flattered?
a star, exactly, a
Yeah.
100%.
And that
And
was used to establish trust before
I
I
wonder
create
if
his
men
target.
liked him. You know, like I wonder if he was as popular
From what I
with
can
males.
gather, from what I can gather, Ben didn't like him very much.
Yeah, and are you shocked by that though?
No, not at all.
A lot of manipulators, like a lot of narcissists, they tend to have vulnerable friends or a vulnerable circle, right? They will make sure they surround themselves and they almost they make sure they're the smartest person in the room, right?
Yeah. But his appearance on national television, that illustrates the disparity between his public image and his concealed behavior. Like
Yep.
his public image, he was this charming, debonair,
Well, I
devil may
honestly
care
never thought
guy.
he was a serial killer for the first few minutes I watched that tape. I was sat here
Exactly.
doing my hair, watching it,
Exactly.
and I'll be honest with everybody, like I said somewhere else on this video, I thought it was number three. And I was like, it's got to be that guy. He's coming off a little bit strong.
Yeah.
And the minute he started talking about bananas and I was like, wow, it's definitely, him.
Mm.
Like, he has some balls to go on TV. One being FBI's most wanted and and their 10 most wanted. Number two, being in the middle of a serial killing spree. And number three, with his fucking hair looking like that. Oh, I cannot.
So, so I also want to touch on like the predatory planning aspect as well. So the recovered photographs and repeated use of similar approaches. Like he's done this hundreds of times.
Yeah, and
It's a
predatory
recurrent.
planning. Can you go over what predatory planning is? Because we're going to have a few
So
people that are
it's
going to ask that in the
predatory
comments.
planning is how they plan their victims. You have your chaos killer who will go out there and it's just whoever happens to pass them by on the street at that time, right? There's
Hmm.
and they are the hardest ones to catch because
Because
there's
they
no
have no
forethought.
MO.
Yeah, there's no forethought, there's no MO. They are the hardest ones to catch because they just kill however, like as opportunity arises. But with people like Rodney Alcala, he stuck to the same MO. He approached young women and girls. He spoke about his photography. He's obviously lathered on the charm, and then he's got them isolated and alone to take the photos. Now, you will have already seen some of the photos that were discovered in his lockup. So those women are all in some kind of vulnerable states, and it takes some charm to get women to do that. And less
Yeah.
so then, but more, and definitely more so now. We're very much more hyper aware now, but it still
Well, yeah,
happens.
because we've went from Avon to OnlyFans now, so I mean
Right.
it is pretty much. But at the end of the day, even with it being sort of more nonchalant back then to be doing things like that, I do think that it does take some trust. I mean, to be able to meet someone and get them to trust you like that implicitly, you must
Yeah.
trust somebody implicitly as a woman to take off your clothes and be
Yeah.
put in those vulnerable positions. And for him to be able to do that is a skill that most narcissists do actually possess, right?
Yeah. But the recovered the recovered photographs, what they do is they demonstrate that repeated use of the same approach.
And this is predatory behavior. This is
Yeah.
pre-planning. So this is what she means. He thinks about it. He plans it out in his head. He'll meet his victim. He'll take a lot of time to decide who it's going to be. He's not sort of like an ambush killer. He's not like Gypsy said, a chaos killer. So he's not basically an opportunist. He is 100% someone who thinks about it. He will do it meticulously, and he has that charm to talk his way out of sticky situations, apart
Yeah.
from two that we have heard. But although for someone to still, and I know this sounds horrible, but he still very much was a successful serial killer because
Oh,
he
absolutely. And
still has,
probably, we're never going to know how many people he exactly killed.
yeah,
But the whole file indicates that he is probably one of the most prolific serial killers in the history of humankind.
that is actually wild. And is he still alive?
No, He passed away in prison. He did not go to death row. He was in death row, but he did not get killed in death row. He died of natural causes in 2021.
I'm pretty sure when you get sentenced to death, you have to do a certain amount of time by the state, depending on what
Yeah,
state
you
it
do.
is. You have to serve a certain amount of time. I'm not quite sure,
Well, he
something like that.
actually, in the end, ended up serving in excess of 30 years on death row because of
Wow.
his repeated appeals.
Never will be enough though, right? Never
Mm.
would be enough. It's never satisfactory. You know, it's not going to be satisfactory, not for the
So
victims, not for their
his
families.
death, that's brought to an end further prosecution, but not necessarily efforts to identify possible victims. The extensive photographic archive remains one of the most disturbing unresolved aspects of the case. And I just think the fact that so many of those women have not been identified.
Do you know what that just put me in mind of? Do you know the museum? Now you're gonna know what I'm talking about because we talk about these things all the time. Where they have John Wayne Gacy's clown suit and they have
Mhm.
Bundy's glasses, no Dahmer's glasses and things like that. It just put me right in mind there, these photographs. I hope they do not ever end up somewhere like
But
that.
because the case is unsolved, those items will always be state's evidence. They will remain state's
Hopefully they
evidence.
stay there. Yeah, hopefully. But you know, the shittest thing about the case, and I'm just going to be honest with you guys, you know, everybody's sitting here beside me on this side of the sofa. The shittest thing about it is they can continually keep finding things for forever more to come, and he
Mhm.
will never pay any more than he already did.
No, exactly. So, I was curious, and I'm sure you will be, about where the survivors are now.
Yes, please give us an update on the survivors. Everybody on this couch is sitting waiting, hoping that there are some good ends, at least for these incredible people, please.
Yeah. So Morgan Rowan is currently living as an author, advocate, and survivor. Her book, Stolen from Sunset, A True Story of Surviving a Serial Killer, is available online and in bookstores. She stepped into the public eye to share her story on the premiere episode of Investigation Discovery's People magazine investigates surviving a serial killer. I have seen this and it's a really compelling watch. She continues to feature in the news and on podcasts and true crime platforms, and I think her bravery is to be commended. I know she sat on it for 50 years, but she did actually come to the light and faced her attacker.
And I think that's incredible. Guys, if you want to watch that documentary, go on to your YouTube channels
It's
or
on
go
Sky
on to
right now.
whatever. What a lot of, I don't know what cable TV Sky would be in America because I know it's different around the world. Hulu and stuff they have.
It's the Discovery Channel that it's on.
There you
So
go. So go find that, go find the documentary, and let's go and support this incredible human. Come on, guys, give it a watch.
in that documentary, we've also got Tali Shapiro. Tali Shapiro lives in Palm Springs in California, and having spent decades avoiding the public eye, she joined Morgan Rowan in sharing her story on that same documentary. Shapiro and Rowan have an amazing friendship and now refer to each other as family.
That's
Shapiro,
actually beautiful.
it is. Shapiro also made contact with Matt Murphy, the former Orange County prosecutor who secured Alcala's death sentence, but also in what I think is an absolutely beautiful turn of events, she made contact with Donald Haynes, the man who quite literally saved her life in 1968. Sadly, Cheryl Bradshaw is now deceased. Following her appearance on the dating game, she left California and led a very, very private life. Her chilling brush with Alcala is depicted in the 2023 Netflix film Woman of the Hour, where she's played by Anna Kendrick. Unfortunately, Cheryl Bradshaw passed away before the film was released, but she did give the makers of the film quite a lot of information to help them with the film. Now, in the film, there is one thing that is questioned, and it says that Cheryl Bradshaw in the film is an aspiring actress, but she wasn't so much an aspiring actress, but she was a drama teacher. So that was just one little thing that wasn't
Yeah,
necessarily
that's right. Because listen, guys, remember we just watched this clip together. She asked contestant number 3 or number 2, I think. No, it wasn't. She asked Rodney Alcala if to be in her drama class. She said something silly, and he acted like a dirty old man. We just watched it, guys. So definitely, she is a drama teacher.
So that is the story of Rodney Alcala. That is the
That is a
story
wild ride.
of all of the women that he assaulted, attacked, brutalized, tortured. And honestly, those women that survived him, Morgan Rowan and Tally Shapiro in particular, because they
Incredible
were
women.
actually attacked, are
Yeah,
such incredible women. And
yeah.
that is something that is going to stay with them for the rest of their lives.
I think that'll stay with their entire, bloodline. I think
Yeah,
that, when something horrific like that happens, whether you survive it or not, it actually stays in the energy of your bloodline and it gets passed down for years to
yeah,
come through generations. That's always going to be something talked about in that family.
yeah.
And one thing we've not touched on this one either is Rodney Alcala's family. And
I
we
couldn't
we
find
always
any
say,
information on his family.
yeah,
Yeah.
but we always do tell people,
Hmm.
the families of these people on both sides are just as much,
Hmm.
victims, and they're just as much as involved in the crimes as what the killer is and the victim, because
Yeah.
you cannot imagine, his mother, his father, his brother, his niece, his cousins, all sitting there, and you have to think, right? Life is cruel, and people a lot of the time are, pigeon-headed, and what they will do is, because they cannot get him, they then slander and attack the family, and they always
Hmm.
blame the parents. And what I think needs to be happening is you can have, right, 12 children, and only one of them turn out to be Rodney Alcala. The other 11 could go on to do absolutely stupendous things that will never be recognized because Rodney Alcala was one of the children and he
Yeah.
was one of the broods. And they put the blame onto the parent. How do you feel about that? You know what I mean? Because we did the same
I
thing
think
about,
I think what we have to recognize is there is the nature versus nurture argument.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that's
yeah,
the argument: are serial killers born or are they made? And I
yeah.
think it's a combination of the two.
Mm-hmm.
In each case, it's been a combination of the two. Now, I couldn't find much about Rodney Alcala's life before he joined the army, so I can't testify as to how he was raised. But what I
Yeah,
can
but
tell you
listen to him
is,
in the army, though, all the
yeah,
disciplinaries,
exactly,
Gypsy.
he was already doing it in the army. But what I can tell you is, for that person to commit those crimes, that part of them has to be broken.
Yeah. And there has to be earlier signs. You don't join the army and decide to be a serial killer. There has to be earlier signs. And
Yeah,
this is again just as important, because there
yeah,
could be people out there still alive, or there could be people's sons and daughters out there with information. Their mother could have known him and something could have happened in preschool,
yeah.
primary school. All these different things could have happened in all these different sections of his life before he joined the army, and we don't
Hmm.
know. Fear is real. And
Yeah,
what I think we underestimate fear a lot, for the women to speak out, how they spoke out, to write the book, to go on the documentary, to give the information to producers and such. I think courage overcomes fear, but only if you push it.
yeah.
And you have to, I could never imagine the feeling they had telling their story, because although they knew he was in prison, that doesn't take away their fear, their anxiety, their discomfort. It takes none of that away. They're still
I
feeling it and
think
reliving it every single time they're talking about it.
I think the fact that they didn't actually go public until after he died speaks volumes.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And I think the fact that probably 90% of us on the sofa now would have chosen number 3 before
Hmm.
number 1 on the dating game
Hmm.
speaks massive volumes. I think
Yeah.
When you see, and it's so easy for you to say, he looks like a wrong one, he looks like, you never know. You
No.
never know who's sitting at your table, and you never know when you're being manipulated. And we tell you guys every single video what to watch out for, if you're in the situation, if a friend is in the situation, we do all of these things. Maybe we should do a video on, that personality type and touch on that sort of stuff because, we do
Hmm.
kind of most videos, but that's because we always bring someone to the table who has committed these heinous crimes and who are, unfortunately does have that personality type.
Yeah.
And maybe we should do a video where we have a psychopath, a sociopath, and a narcissist and try and, explain between.
Yeah,
But
maybe.
this man was literally a combination of all three. And
Mm,
when you fall victim to that trap, those two women that survived are so, and I know it's horrible to say they're so lucky because they're not, because it happened to them, but to not be killed, they are so lucky because falling under a trap like that almost always only ends in one way.
yeah. But also, we've got to take into consideration that while they were very, very lucky, you could also turn that on its head and say that the victims that died were very lucky because they didn't have to live with it.
Exactly. And there's a double-sided coin, guys.
Hmm.
We obviously we cannot choose and decide the fate of what, what's luckier than what. But what you're saying, absolutely, 100%. What would be, in a, for lack of a better word, easier to
Yeah.
not have to live with it or to be the ones left behind, essentially, right?
Hmm.
And I think we underestimate how rich we are in a lot of things in daily life.
Hmm.
And I think these cases really bring forward to the table, we're struggling, right? We've got all these things going on. We have our own struggles. We have our own things that we beat ourselves up about. But are you sitting at the table where they sat with the stories that they have? No. Can we reach out and talk to someone? Yeah. And we've always said everybody's welcome on this sofa. Everybody's welcome to talk. Everybody, if you want to get in touch, come to the Reddit community. All the links are there. My Instagram, Gypsy's TikTok, the Reddit community, everything's
Hmm.
there if you
The
need to get a
Facebook
hold of
page is
us.
there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you guys have any ideas of any cases that you want us to look into, please let us know. Get a hold of us in the Reddit community. That is the place to do it. If you want to recommend a case, please only
Hmm.
do it in the Reddit community. Please head over there. But this case has had so many interesting twists and turns. For me, I'm baffled about how he was able to go along that much. And I think the thing for me and everybody else on the sofa is this motherfucker had the gumption to jump his ass on TV, try and win himself a date in the middle of a killing spree
Hmm.
with a bad fucking hairdo and a
Yep.
shit perspective on life. And, for me, I'm wondering, well, where the fuck was the silky case that had all the evidence in it all that fucking time?
That
Where
was in
where
the lockup
was
with the photos.
like how that for me it's bizarre. How did they get there? How did they get it? Where did they go
Hmm.
for the 10 years? What's going on with the 130 women? There is, I think what you've done, Gypsy, is you've brought more questions and answers to this
Yep.
table. With
Well,
this
listen,
case,
that's a
it is
skill
a
I have.
head spin. Yeah, yeah, she does. Yeah,
That is a
that it is a
skill I
head
have.
spin. And it was the same with Trudy Adams. Everybody was sat
Yep.
here on the sofa with me like, what? Where do we go from there? Like, you're leaving us on cliff edges now because we're all going to go away and we're all going to investigate it and we're all going to go and try and find information on it and we're all going to watch documentaries and we're all going to be on Amazon buying books now. Because I think what we love as people when we tune into the podcast and we come and sit on the sofa is we like to feel like we're investigating it at the same time. We like to feel like we're all going through each step of the crime at the
Yeah.
same time as you bring it to us. And I think that that's what
Yeah.
tells the story most. The fact that we all feel like we're taking a step together at each single time that you go to another chapter, we go to another section, we are cross-examining all of the evidence as one whole family, as one whole team. So on behalf of everybody listening, I want to say thank you and I want to say fuck you. I'm literally sat here like, what about these women? I need to
This is
find
gonna be
out.
living in my brain for the next several weeks. Like,
Yeah, thanks for the new rabbit hole. She does this, guys, all the time, right? The Trudy
there'll be
Adams
another one there.
case, this one, we literally have just done Enfield for Buckle Up, so wait till
Yep,
that gets dropped. That's even worse, by the way. Like,
yep.
she just has this habit of sailing onto her screens and gives us these most bizarre stories, right? Bizarre. And I
Mhm.
just think, like, see, the 70s was just the era for it. Like, feeling cute, might
Right,
go murder people, hop on a dating show and jump over down to see Roman Polanski. Like, what?
right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, what? How?
Yep.
Like, and with hair like that, man looks like a really shit mop.
I mean, to be fair, he had like straightened his hair quite a bit at that point.
It looks like he'd been put in the fucking, the spin mop buckets. Straight from TikTok shop, Rodney Alcala, #1, guys. Oh my god, the guy is a twerp.
But he was a twerp who was potentially the most prolific serial killer of the 20th century.
Do you know what? I'm probably everybody else on the sofa as well, guys. I'm going to do it. Stop shouting. Let me see it, right? We're all shouting out right now because we all think that you have to look into a certain case because of the way you put this one over. If you give me a minute and stop shouting over me, everybody on your sofas, I will present the case. And thanks to Gypsy. You have to look into Richard Ramirez, a Night Stalker. You should bring that one to us at some point because you will be amazing
The
at
Night
delivering that
Stalker.
case.
Yeah.
Yeah, Richard Ramirez. Guys, if you think she should bring us Richard Ramirez, put it in the comments. Right, I agree with Quinn in the comments, and let's force her into a corner and make her bring us the entire case of Richard Ramirez because if anyone can do it, she can.
I do have one that I'm working on that's closer to home.
Right. Are you going to give
And
us a
it's a
little bit of an
historical
insight?
case. It's a historical case.
Oh, she's teasing
And
us, guys.
it takes place in Southeast London where I grew up.
Oh.
And that's all I'm gonna tell you.
Oh, wow. Thanks very much for that. Everybody just threw cushions at their TV because you're not giving us, give us one clue. One more clue. Come on.
The building that it took place in still stands.
That's like half of Southeast fucking London. She's not good at this, guys, is she? She really is not. I am never playing I Spy with you. It's
Mm,
like playing chess with Bobby fucking Fischer. Oh, I cannot. Well, listen, guys, she's been absolutely brilliant. I've been absolutely hilarious, and you guys have been even better than that. But this has been good vibes and bad decisions. She has been terrible at I Spy, and we shall see you next week.
goodbye.
Bye.
Good vibes and bad decisions.